a winner in our $50 gift certificate for Sherry's Berries. Name the first lady who had a pet raccoon. Lord have mercy. Charles in Maryland is the first caller with the right answer. Charles, which first lady had a pet raccoon?
It was Grace Coolidge,
Very good, very good. You know the raccoon's name?
Rebecca.
Yeah, you didn't have to know that. I stood it out there. And she used to carry around in her arm like a cat. All right. Charles, hang on. We're going to get all your contact information and I'll let you know how you can get your gift certificate, okay?
All right, thanks a lot.
Happy Mother's Day to you and yours. Joining us now from the great state of Maryland, our friend and brother who is running for governor of Maryland, Ben Jealous is here with us now. Ben, good morning to you, man. How are you?
I'm good, Mark. I'm good.
Good.
Good to hear your voice, man.
Likewise, man. Um, yeah, big day on yesterday with you and Bernie Sanders, right?
Yeah, man. Look, we said back in 2016 to crisscross this country that we could end the year of massive student debt by ending the year of mass incarceration.
Mm-hmm.
And on yesterday, we rolled out my plan to make sure that Maryland does just that we make all of our community colleges free for all. And someone said to me, they said, even for the rich students? And I said, yeah, even for the rich students. And they said, why? I said, because their parents will be paying for it when we tax the 1% more.
Mm-hmm.
It's only fair. But the other thing that we know, Mark, the other thing that we know is that when we make something a social right in a society as opposed to charity,
Mm-hmm.
Think about Social Security, for example, versus welfare, right?
Right.
That it becomes hardwired in, that we as citizens see it as part of our birthright. And here in Maryland, people see it as part of your birthright to go to school from kindergarten through 12th grade. Well, in this economy, in this much more tech-based economy, we will make it your birthright to go to school from pre-K through 14th grade, right, through your associate's degree.
Mm-hmm.
And, that's what our ancestors did a long time ago. It used to be that a school went from first to sixth grade, then first to eighth grade, then kindergarten to 12th grade. And similarly, we need to make sure that everybody here can get all the education they need to get onto a great career or to at least get them accelerated towards getting their bachelor's.
So, and yesterday was also big too, because Bernie Sanders was there to make this announcement with you, wasn't he?
Yeah, man. Look, Bernie and I had fun. He came into Prince George's County. We had a very strong reception. I just got the endorsement of 74,000 teachers across our state with 85% of the vote, but in Prince George's County, I got 100% of the vote, which means something when the Prince George's County executive is also in this race with you. And we were right there in a neighborhood where it was clear. We were talking just to young fellas playing basketball outside of this community center, and we were like, do you know anybody with mountains of student debt? And they all raised their hand. Do you know anybody who doesn't have health care? And they all raised their hand. One fellow was there playing basketball, and you and I know. I mean, we grew up playing that. You can break your arm fairly easily on a basketball court, and he had no health insurance. And I said, well, what happens? If you because he's also about 30 years old. If you tear your Achilles, if you break your arm, well, I just pray that I don't. And so there's no other Western nation where somebody else has to say that. Every other Western nation already has health care. So, in this campaign, we're making it very clear we're going to fully fund education. We're going to make sure, for our K through 12 kids, we're going to make that pre-K through 14. And we're also going to make sure that if you want to go to college and you're willing to sign up for one of the many professions that we have shortages of, teachers, nurses, construction managers, that we will pay for college and for grad school as a state. so that we don't have to recruit people from out of state, but that we can actually train our children in the state and make sure that they get. I mean, think about this for a second, Mark. There's a demand in Maryland for 3,000 construction managers every year, and our public university system only produces 24. And these are jobs that quickly get on to, over $100,000 per year, and the biggest program is at Morgan State University. Can you imagine if we were really out there talking to young people across our state, talking to young people across Baltimore City, talking to young people about the schools that feed into Morgan State, and saying you could be making $100,000 a year as a construction manager, and if you decide that you want to pursue that field, we will pay for everything.
Wow.
You could transform lives.
Yeah.
You could transform lives. And that's what we're focusing on. And we're also saying that we will make sure that everybody in the state has health care so that, young fellas playing basketball don't have to, pray to God that they're not going to break their arm. By making Maryland the first state in the country to have state-based Medicare for all.
State-based Medicare for all. These are, really some great proposals, Ben, and that's why, obviously to me it sets you apart in this governor's race. How's the campaign going, and particularly how was your announcement yesterday received by the voters you encountered?
Oh, it was great. I mean, the enthusiasm in the room was off the chain. And this was on a day when there was a state's attorney's debate next door. There was an election going on in town, and every seat was filled, and people were on fire. But online, just during the event, and how these things go, there's more people afterwards. Just during the event, there were 40,000 people watching online. Wow. And that's the thing that we're able to do that no other campaign can do. I mean, there were 30,000 on Bernie's site. There were 10,000 on my Facebook page and Twitter and so forth. And, that's modern campaigning, right? So people in the room were enthusiastic, and apparently tens of thousands of people online were pretty enthusiastic too.
Yeah. So that's very good news. And you're the only candidate proposing free college tuition right now, aren't you?
Yeah, I mean, there are others who will do it for some small subset of the population. So like yesterday, Governor Hogan signed something that will sign a bill that a supermajority of the Democrats force him to sign. Right? It's either sign it or veto it, and have us override you, right? Or don't sign it and just look silly. And that would make community college, more affordable for some. We put out a proposal yesterday where we will take and recall that bill's $15 million. We will take $660 million by shrinking our prison system as fast as they've done in Georgia and Texas and New York and California and many other states, but we have not done here. So we will get serious about the business of ending mass incarceration. It'll save us hundreds of millions of dollars. And we're talking about pushing at least $200 million into making our community colleges free for everybody. And that's the difference, right? It's a difference between sort of nibbling around the edges. Oh, here's $15 million, and it'll be, free for somebody that maybe, to here's at least $200 million just to the community colleges, because there's other planks to this plan. And it'll be free for everybody. At the same time, we said, look, we will take hundreds of millions more, and we will make sure that if you want to go to college or and to grad school, and you're going to prepare yourself and commit to stay in Maryland to perform one of the many professions for which we have shortages in state, we'll pay for everything. We also said that we would create a general bond, a general obligation bond, to finally deal with the historic underfunding of our HBCUs, because a judge has said that our state owes its own historically black colleges and universities $2 billion for discrimination over a 20-year period. And while the state right now is appealing that, we say, no, we'll drop the appeal. Because a federal judge tells you you've been discriminating against a whole group of your students and your institutions, it's actually in your state's best interest to end the discrimination Make sure that those schools are well funded. Make sure that their students are well prepared, because when you short circuit your kids today, you short circuit your economy tomorrow. You shortchange your kids' education today, you short circuit your economy tomorrow. And then we also said, look, it's not, as I rolled out this proposal yesterday, my running mate Susie Turnbull and I stood there and said, look, we can't just ask taxpayers to pay, to help pay for the next set of students' education. We also have to make sure that those taxpayers who are loaded down in student debt get some relief. And so we set aside a couple $100 million to make sure that we can actually implement what they've been doing in Massachusetts for decades, and we would improve upon it, but make it possible for you to refinance your student loan with the state. Because right now the federal government is ripping off our students.
Mm-hmm.
You or I want to go buy a house, the loan is like 3.5%, 4%.
Mm-hmm.
But a student loan is 7-8%.
Right.
It doesn't make any sense.
Right.
It doesn't make any sense.
Penalizing people for the cost of their education. We're just supposed to make them better contributors, as education, better contributors to our society as a whole, taxpayers and everything else. That's pretty backwards. So you did mention HBCUs, because at one time there was this argument that the Ben Jealous, well, there's folks running for governor, benjealous.com, that there was this argument that free college tuition or in-state tuition would actually hurt the HBCUs. Your plan would do the opposite.
No, look, that's exactly right. That's exactly right. And the reality is, as you heard me say, free tuition at Morgan for construction management, and we'll be pushing more students into it.
Yeah.
If you're at University of Maryland Eastern Shore, or even if you're down at Morehouse, where I'm a trustee, or you're at Virginia State that my grandma's granddad co-founded, these are all schools that I've had a lot of contact with.
Mm-hmm.
What you'll see is that we're struggling because ever since the reforms of the Parent Plus loan program, it's been harder for families to afford college. And so, students are down by hundreds at University of Maryland Eastern Shore. You walk around the campus, you ask why, they say because it's gotten so much more expensive. And so making our colleges more affordable can only help our HBCUs. Now, there was some concern that if we only made our community colleges more affordable, that might hurt four-year schools as people decide they can only afford 2 years of school. And what we're saying is that we will make every public university, including our HBCUs in Maryland, Coppin, Bowie, Morgan, University of Maryland Eastern Shore, radically more affordable, tuition-free even, for those students who are willing to say, I'll be a nurse, and I'll be Coppin has a huge nursing program. Mm-hmm. I'll be a teacher. Every HBCU was founded to train teachers. I'll be a construction manager. Morgan has the biggest program in the state.
Right. Ben Jealous, big announcement with Bernie Sanders at his side in Maryland on yesterday, calling for free college tuition. So, Ben, when is the primary in Maryland for governor, the Democratic primary?
June 26th. Early vote starts June 14th, goes to June 21st. So people can start voting here in about 6 weeks, 7 weeks.
Okay.
And about 5 weeks. And voting is in 49 days. Voting is 7 weeks from today.
The thing that's really appealing about what you're saying, and I mean, other states ought to really be thinking this way. Giving some incentive for young people to stay home and contribute to the state. Why not? Especially if it's free, if it's affordable, if it prevents debt, and you have the greatest chance of being employed once you finish school.
Well, I mean, that's just it, right? It was Booker T. Washington who told us, either make yourself indispensable to this economy, or it will dispense with you.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And so, that's the basic thinking behind this is that if you as a young person are willing to take a step towards our economy by choosing a career that's going to make you indispensable to our economy in this state, then it's worth it for us to invest in you, because we're going to get more value from you, to the state treasury, to our society, than we would from somebody who, that local business has to go recruit from out of state, who's only going to stay here for a few years.
Right.
And then they're going to fall in love. They're going to move back home, and they may build a business there to compete with the business that they learned from here.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a much better investment for us to fully invest in one of our own young people than it is for us to recruit, somebody to come here for just a few years.
The other thing, too, frankly, Ben, I found when I visit other HBCUs in other states, and, I mean, let's face it, the cost of living is going up everywhere.
Yeah.
So nowadays, when certain HBCUs try to recruit a certain caliber of academician or administrator, they may not even be able to afford to bring that person into that HBCU because the cost of living has gone up. And again, it goes back to the point that, well, why should you even have to bring but so many people in the first place? If we're producing this right here where we are, and they said Morgan is one of our greatest HBCUs in the country, why not, make all of this homegrown? Let's produce our own people, and then you have generations upon generations of people who are making contributions to the state, building the infrastructure, being in policy and government and leadership. I mean, it sounds like it's a win-win all the way around.
Look, that's exactly right. And fundamentally what we're talking about is creating a more dynamic relationship between industry and public education, so that people who are leaders in industry who can literally anticipate how many workers they're going to need next year, 5 years from now, 10 years from now, are talking to the heads of our public universities, talking to the heads of our public community colleges, talking to the superintendents of our high schools and saying, this is what we're going to need. This is what we'll need from you for those young people to be prepared. I had Google here about a week and a half ago, and Alphabet, their holding company, to talk to leaders of our community colleges, talk to leaders of our public universities, talk to leaders of our school systems generally, and even some private institutions that are preparing, and say, this is what we would need to be excited about expanding here. And one of the things they said was, right now we're spending, large tech companies like Google spending a lot of money to recruit computer science master degree graduates. He said, but actually, the only reason we do that, Mark, he said, the only reason we do that is we need somebody with 2 years specialized training in the coding that we need. So we could do that as an associate's degree. In fact, you could start it in high school, and the person could be done in 13th grade. Person could be done a year afterwards, come into a job and get this, take home more money than that master's degree person is taking home now, because they're not going to have any student debt. And so for the company, they could pay a bit less. They could get a whole lot more folks. They can make a dent in the 600,000 programmer shortage that the big companies in the Valley are struggling with. We as Maryland could build our economy by expanding some of the world's largest companies here, and not do it by giving multi-billion-dollar giveaways like the current governor wants to do with Hogan, because the current governor is a land developer and he'd like to make more money himself, I'm sure. But actually do it the old-fashioned way, which is saying, what are your pain points, company B? What are your pain points, company C? Oh, our state will help you solve that better than anybody else will.
Ben Jealous, folks, with us doing very, very important work with his proposals, running for governor of Maryland. He also, folks, needs our support. Let me just make this absolutely clear. As you saw Bernie campaigning with him on yesterday, I know there are a lot of Bernie supporters out there around the country, and many of you still support Bernie, want him to run again, felt he should have won in 2016. Let me just try to make this as plain as I can. Ben can do what Bernie did in Maryland. So we can't always get everything we want. So Bernie didn't get the White House, okay. But you can still show Bernie's success and some of the revolutionary ideas he put forward in this Maryland race. So let's support Ben Jealous. All of you who supported Bernie ought to be supporting Ben Jealous. Go to benjealous.com. Give your small dollar donations. 6 or 7 weeks out from the primary. It's a competitive race. Ben Jealous can win this. And then you will effectively have a Bernie Sanders ally and colleague and supporter and protege in the Maryland State House, implementing Medicare for all within the state, implementing free college tuition within the state. So please, ma'am, please, sir, go to benjealous.com and give your donation. And everybody knows, like we said earlier about Stacey, everybody knows somebody in Georgia. Everybody knows somebody in Maryland, too. So first of all, you have to live in Maryland, make a contribution. But if you know someone in Maryland, pick up the phone, call them, ask them who they're supporting, and ask them to support Ben Jealous. Right, Ben?
You know, Mark, yeah, look, thank you for saying that. You know, we don't just have more low-dollar donors than any other candidate in this race. We have more low-dollar donors than every other candidate combined, including the sitting governor. And that's part of why we're going to beat him this fall. We have surged in our support in the state. We can win this primary with the help of your listeners. We will. Cory Booker, who's also endorsing, was in the state a week and a half ago. We rolled out our plan to finally legalize cannabis for adult use, follow in the footsteps of Washington, D.C., but actually go further. Frankly, those new revenues are part of how we're going to invest to strengthen education in our state. This is a forward-thinking campaign. It's a unifying campaign. It's very much built around the principles of the Bernie Sanders campaign. It has also been endorsed by Bernie, by Cory Booker, by Kamala Harris. And what we're doing is unifying our state to move its people forward, no matter what Donald Trump is doing in Washington.
That's right. That's right. Because still, I mean, is even though we all can get really caught up in the Donald Trump drama, and it is a drama, and we have to watch it, what's going on? People still have to make money to put food on the table. People have to get education and degrees. That stuff has to go. The world don't stop just because Donald Trump is acting a fool. So, and that's what governors are for, y'all, to see to it. Keep that eye on the prize, steady that ship. Medicare for all, free college tuition. That stuff needs to happen, even in the midst of all the drama. Ben Jealous, my very, very special guest, and my friend, my brother. Ongoing. Good luck with the campaign. This definitely won't be the last time we talk. We're gonna keep pushing, folks. benjealous.com, benjealous.com, benjealous.com. Support Ben in his quest to be the governor.
Thank you, Mark. Folks, as you heard here, the world don't stop just because the president's acting a fool, and that's what we need good governors for. I think that's going to be like our next bumper sticker.
All right.
Thank you, Mark.
I'm all for it, bro. That's right. It's just being practical, man. That's what it is, you know. I mean, maybe a light bulb went off and say, yeah, he got a point. We do have to get him to go to work every day and do something around here. So, yeah. You can't sit home and watch that soap opera all day. You got to get into it.
The world don't stop because the president's a fool.
That's right.
That's why we need a good governor. Go Ben Jealous. All right.
Yeah, man. Yo, man, good luck with everything, and we'll talk again, okay?
All right, brother. Appreciate you.
All right. Give everybody my regards, too, man, all right? Take care. Ben Jealous with us, folks. We'll take a quick break. Howard Bryant with us next, his new book, The Heritage, Black Athletes and What They Should and Should Not Be Doing. Colin Kaepernick and more. Don't go away. SiriusXM Progress 127 Resistance Radio. Get woke, ready for impeachment. This is MIP.